And in this corner, nerds!
And I'm going to talk about me, myself, and my problems here for a little while.
The Rule 34 questions were last week.
That's not a puzzle, it's pushing blocks.
I will accept confidently sounded episode numbers and issue numbers as actual evidence.
But I want to hear about your other shitty characters.
Of course, invest in a robotic Flavor Flav.
This is the Debate This podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. This is a podcast where four grown men bicker over dumb arguments around our favorite comics and video games, basically like we're a bunch of little children. Today we're going to talk about the Marvel Universe, specifically which Marvel hero deserves to get more of the limelight. Obviously, we've seen a lot of movies coming out recently. You've got your Captain Americas, your Thors. We're going to talk about those that haven't had so much screen time. My name is Andrew Hambone Henderson, and with me today are Matt Swingaway Cole, Kyle Ponyboy Harper, and Todd the Toolman Thomas. Let's start things off by hearing everyone's opening statements.
Kyle, why don't you start?
So, I will be defending Mr. Fantastic Reed Richards as the most underrated Marvel character. He's a member of the original superhero team for Marvel, beating out the X-Men by 3 years. Leader of the Fantastic Four. He leads one of the most powerful teams in the Marvel canon. They're often the first line of defense against interdimensional threats for Marvel, the Marvel Universe. He is the most intelligent character in Marvel lore. And he does it all. He is the science nerd all science nerds should aspire to be.
Right. So today I'm going to be talking about Jubilee, my girl Jubilee, who is mostly famous from the 90s X-Men cartoons. Jubilee gets a bad rap because she's basically the Marvel's version of the D&D spell Prestidigitation. But I'd like to talk about how she's much more than that.
I am going to be fighting for the best Marvel character, Ghost Rider, who is one of the most underrated badasses in Marvel's history. He has been one of the strongest and most complex characters since 1967, and the last 10 years of blunders, both with and without Nic Cage, have tarnished his reputation beyond repair. So we're going to fight to bring that back to its former glory.
I'm going to be battling for everyone's favorite cybernetic horse-human hybrid Beta Ray Bill, often found cast in the long shadow of Thor. He's got the same abilities, same characteristics, but aside from, again, being a horrible abomination and spitting in the face of God himself, he's been overly underrated for 30-plus years.
All right. Well, Todd came with a made-up character, so let's move over to let's hear from Kyle. Kyle, what evidence do you have to support Mr. Fantastic?
So, I want to start with who we admire in the Marvel Universe. Right now, it's Tony Stark, and
Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bill. Yeah. It's Tony Stark and Bruce Banner. Two of the smartest men, two of the greatest characters in Marvel's lore. Mr. Fantastic is smarter than both of them, and he runs circles around both of them. Reed Richards is so smart, he's created an interdimensional area for all the Reed Richards of the multiverse to gather. And all they do is meet up and solve every universe's problems, because one world's problems was too small for them. And yes, that means the Council of Ricks from Rick and Morty is based on...
I was just going to say...
That's awesome.
Based on this.
I feel like this is a missed opportunity with the Marvel Universe to make some sort of like fucking awesome buddy cop action flick with like just 8 Reed Richards together solving mysteries.
Well, and I want to... My other argument in defense in my opening statement is Reed Richards is one of the few people who has wielded the Infinity Gauntlet and lived to tell the tale. And actually, when the Council of Reeds gets together, they wield multiple Infinity Gauntlets from multiple universes. That's how badass Reed Richards is. The very poor movies representing them have failed them.
So Kyle, cool. I can't help but get stuck on the fact. I'm gonna put a pin in the interdimensional play here. I can't help but get stuck on the fact that Reed Richards' power is basically the Rubber Man.
Yeah, so he's indestructible and a shapeshifter, which are two pretty awesome powers.
Except that he can melt.
Wait, I too want to shit on Reed Richards at some point, but I want to hear about your other shitty characters before I choose which one to tell you that you're wrong about.
All right. Well, I can talk a little bit about Jubilee. So Jubilee. So I first started X-Men by watching the '90s cartoons, like most of people in our generation. And the first character introduced is not Wolverine, it's not Storm, it's not Cyclops, it's Jubilee. And it might seem like kind of a weird left turn there, but that was who I kind of, as a kid, associated with the entire franchise with. Like, it was Jubilee and Storm. Like that was X-Men to me, right? So that was just like a, kind of an integral part in Gambit. And so to not see her basically ever again was actually really surprising to me as, the movies started coming out. And as I was looking through it, it looks like she was planned in almost every movie, but it got cut for whatever reason. And I know why, because I think people typically think that her power is super boring. She blows fireworks. But imagine having that on your face. I mean, it's like, yeah, her hands are basically Roman candles, but have you ever stuck a Roman candle in your mouth? That would blow your head.
Is that a real question? Because the answer is no, I think.
Yeah, all your childhood fantasies about Jubilee are showing, Andrew.
The Rule 34 question for last week.
Yeah. We will get back to the Sonic fandom in a brief minute. No, aside from those pink shades are fucking dope. A lot of people don't realize that the only power people remember is the fireworks and all that. But the Marvel, as they started writing Jubilee more and more, it wasn't just fireworks. It was just straight up explosions. She's got explodey hands. That's so cool. She's a award-winning gymnast, so she can flip around and do all kinds of cool spinny tricks while blowing up shit with her hands in the midair. That's awesome. Imagine a Spider-Man-esque open world action game where you're just flipping around, blowing shit up with your hands. That would be rad as hell. And I can see Todd thinking about it right now. The gears are turning.
No, there was a game called
Infamous.
I was just gonna say it. You just described Infamous. that game happened, or Prototype. That's the other one.
Yeah, I think that was Electric, but we'll go past that. Here's the real deal, though, gentlemen. Jubilee's a vampire. She's a motherfucking vampire.
Which is some shit.
It's some
your
real
case,
shit.
Your case as to why she's should be the best character is because she's a sparkly vampire.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
You know what? You know what? Yes, I'm gonna lean into it. She's a sparkly vampire. The X-Men universe's only sparkly vampire, and she fucking rules.
So I'm gonna step in. I'm gonna talk about me, myself, and my problems here for a little while. My first problem being that to be an underrated Marvel character, you have to deserve higher praise than you're getting, which unfortunately for Mr. Fantastic and the forgotten, teenage wet dream of the 90s, there's not much more praise there. Unlike Ghost Rider, overshadowed by, as Kyle refers to, our God King, Nicolas Cage. Significantly cooler than just Nicolas Cage. Now, see, the original Ghost Rider appeared way back in 1967. We've been at this for over 50 years now. He has been canonically portrayed by 12 people, but the spirit of the Ghost Rider, the spirit of vengeance himself, has been around since the dawn of time. And no matter what version of the spirit you look at, they all kick ass. They rival the strength of Thor. They have pulled demons through dimensions, and the invincibility of Hulk, as the spirit of vengeance can never die. And if the host body has a strong enough agreement with the spirit, the host body will be spared from death as well. He has not been done justice in the last 10 years. He has some of the coolest powers. The Penance Stare is one of the strongest attacks in the Marvel canon. And unlike Nic Cage, it's much more impressive than just looking into my eyes and watching them turn into blackened marbles. Significantly cooler than that. The movies just didn't do it justice. And if none of that is good enough for you, as Reno Jones in the 2000 spin-off series Blazing Glory, the Ghost Rider fought the actual KKK. The actual KKK in the real world, meaning that he has stronger morals than like half of the country. So that's all I have to say about that.
He's quite the SJW.
I dig it.
One thing that I was thinking of as you were making your very silly points. So I made a little list in my head. People's reputations who Nic Cage has destroyed. 1, Ghost Rider. 2, Ben Franklin.
Yeah. And I think the Ben Franklin is just as cool as the Ghost Rider. And Ghost Rider, I believe, has slept with about as many women as Ben Franklin. So,
or
That's
Nic
gross.
Cage. See, and you make it sound like Nic Cage's eyes turning into black marbles was specific just in Ghost Rider. That happened in all the National Treasure movies. Like that was when he was doing his Jimmy Neutron brain blast moment. He would just his eyes roll back into his
That's
head.
it. That's actually a deleted scene where he takes the Constitution down to hell.
Well, so it's cute that you talk about characters that are underrated, even though they've all been in some sort of movie or were supposed to be in a movie. I've got my boy Beta Ray Bill here. Beta Ray Bill, who apparently Andrew doesn't know, but that's okay.
I can't.
He literally doesn't
exists.
exist.
He sounds
been
like a
around
hot
for
sauce.
three plus decades. Not to be confused with Alpha Bill, who was the original incarnation. Beta Ray Bill came about because he was defending his world, his people, the Corbinites. Truly, he came to be because he fought with Thor and beat him twice. He took Thor's hammer and was able to wield it, and Odin's like, oh shit, you know what's up. That's awesome. But if you're really that good, you and Thor have to fight one-on-one again. And he beat him again, and then he saved his life. And he's like, well, I can't give you Thor's hammer because that's his only plot device that makes him relevant. So I'll give you your own hammer that's just as good as Mjolnir. And then I'll never really use you for any main plot points, except for small little things. He fought off Galactus. He ultimately, didn't win because you can't kill Galactus, but he cracked his armor in the process of saving his people. But throughout all this, he's not able to break out of Thor's shadow, simply because he's got a ridiculous and hideous horse face instead of the beautiful golden locks that led to Chris Hemsworth being worth $1 bajillion. And 2, talking about the morality of Mr. Fantastic and using his gauntlet. The thing is, Beta Ray Bill was truly even brought to be to show how pure and morally just he is, because only someone who is morally just and righteous can wield Mjolnir. And that's when they're like, oh, we're going to introduce this guy. Like, he is so worthy. He's so worthy, he gets his own extra hammer.
He's
and
so
after
worthy.
all
He has
that,
2 first names.
Beta Ray Bill. And after all of this like pomp and circumstance, he's left with no movie. He was in an animated movie once. And he's been reduced down to Easter eggs in Marvel Cinematic movies. He was on the tower, of the the guy.
Can I?
Jeff Goldblum's tower. He was on
Goldblum's tower.
Have
Yeah,
you
he's
ever,
on Jeff
have you ever
Goldblum's
considered,
tower.
Todd, maybe the reason why he's not been in a movie because his name is fucking Ray? It's like, hey, here's my army of awesome Asgardian superheroes. We've got Thor, we've got Loki. Oh, and there's Ray over there at the diner. having a piece of
Romano ran a
pumpkin pie.
syndicated TV show for a decade. Don't tell me Ray holds anyone back.
Yeah, sure. I'm not saying that it's a bad name. It's just awfully common.
Says the person who's going with Jubilee. Can we go back to the sparkly vampire thing? I'm not
Sure.
done with that.
Sure. Let's open that can of worms because I'm gonna lean into it.
I was cool with the vampire piece, and then like the dots were connected, and it suddenly wasn't quite as cool anymore.
See, the vampire thing to me screams, this character is irrelevant for a reason. Maybe let's shoehorn something in to make her interesting.
Let's call her Stacy and give her a job at the local Cinnabon. No, listen, Beta Ray. Jubilee. So what happened was, if you must know, the canon, because Marvel is really into exploding their universe and start again. Jubilee lost all her powers in the House of M arc, which I have not read, but I'm reading about in this one
Wikipedia article that you're using.
Yeah, it's a list of 12 things about Jubilee in ScreenRant.com. So I told you I did a lot of work before this. So she lost all her powers, and then she became a vampire when she was fighting vampire terrorists. That's right. She was protecting. So you know what? Ghost Rider might have been fighting the KKK, but Jubilee fights terrorists. Vampire fucking terrorists. That's horrifying.
Vampire terrorists. I'm pretty sure the only thing that you need to do to get rid of a vampire terrorist is turn the lights on. And then I think that they all sparkle and go away, because I'm pretty sure that's vampire canon.
I think these are vampire terrorists running in Angel rules, not Blade rules.
No, I want to go on the record there. Matt was right. That's vampire canon.
Thank you. I thank you.
I got a concentration in vampire canon and bird law, so I know. Well, no, you know what, and that's fine. I don't want to just pick on the sparkly vampire thing, because we haven't spent any time shitting on Nic Cage, and that's, I think, what we really need to be doing right now.
That's what this boils down to.
You thought it was going to be a podcast about talking about the weakness of these characters and how they deserve. Oh no, this is actually just our opportunity to talk about Nic Cage and the irreparable damage he's done to Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 3 characters here. Well, we've got 2 characters here that should have been in movies. And then we've got one character here who should have been in a better movie, and then we've got Ghost Rider, who's had 2 Nic Cages.
See, my argument is Nic Cage can't even make Ghost Rider relevant. The ineffable Nic Cage can't even help your character.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me today that I have a script where Nic Cage has a flaming skull and rides a motorcycle, I'd be like, I'm fucking in.
All right,
give me a ticket.
No, let's hear it.
All right, so here's the thing. First Ghost Rider movie, 2007, Ghost Rider. You know what? Pretty fucking good. That's a solid movie.
Not bad. I'll give you that. Not bad.
Solid movie. And then 2011 happened. We got Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, and everything went to shit. And I tell you what, that was not Nic Cage's fault. That was a director issue. There is no one that can look at that movie and say, wow, this storyline is good, or this acting is worse than the storyline, because it isn't. The acting is above the storyline. And I can tell you right now that if Nic Cage's acting is better than the directing of a movie, it is not Nic Cage's fault that he ruined a character. That movie ruined Ghost Rider in 2011. People wrote it off in 2007. They said, Nic Cage is starring in a movie. His head's on fire. I don't know if I want to see that. But a lot of people went, and all of us who went thought, hey, you know what? That's pretty good. And then 2011 happened. We all got really excited, and then we all went home and cried and decided not to talk about it anymore. And that is why Ghost Rider is an underrated character. Because it took his reputation from here, knocked it all the way the fuck down here, and now nobody thinks of him anymore. And anytime I tell someone, hey, my favorite superhero is Ghost Rider, they're like, Nic Cage. He is more than Nic Cage, goddammit. More than Nic Cage.
Which one of the movies was the one that had the really cool cutscene where it was like Ghost Rider on his bike and like his mentor on the flaming horse, and it was a cool cutaway?
The first one.
Yeah,
that was the first one.
That's the coolest moment from any of them ever, and everything outside of that moment is irrelevant because it's like
his mentor is Sam Elliott too, which is
nice,
just amazing.
Oh, bitches! Great. Speaking of Sam Elliott, that shit is canon. Sam Elliott played Carter Slade in the original Ghost Rider movie. Carter Slade was the original Ghost Rider in 1967. He was the first name of the canonical character, and when Carter Slade died, that storyline went on to be the Phantom Rider, and Johnny Blaze was adopted as the new Ghost Rider, and the ghost of Carter Slade came back to introduce Johnny Blaze to the Ghost Rider spirit. So that scene, that double ride down the desert with a guy on a horse and a guy on a bike is canon. And that's cool as fuck.
Let me ask a question. Why did the Marvel writers see it was a good idea to have two fire-themed superheroes, both with the name Johnny Storm and Johnny Blaze? That's remarkably uninspired.
Because Reed Richards gives his no, wait, that's not his son. His son was the other guy. I
His
thought that I was going to say that was the brother. It's the brother. Yeah. Their whatever her name is, Mrs. Fantastic, has a shitty brother. That's why.
I think Marvel has too many fire dudes. Like, there's a lot of fire guys.
Whatever you say, Sparky Hands.
Yeah.
Name one other superhero that can explode shit with their hands.
Gambit. Next one.
Yeah.
He has
Gambit does it better.
With cards. That's different.
No, he charges items, not cards.
Yeah, that's
Scarlet
markedly
Witch.
different.
How about Scarlet
yeah.
Witch?
Okay, well, fair. Well, maybe the Marvel. Sorry, I'm shifting my chair here. Maybe the writers of the Avengers felt like, you know what? These are two just awesome superheroes. Let's combine them into one superhero. We'll just call them Scarlet Witch, but it'll actually be based on Scarlet Witch and Jubilee. I'm pretty sure that's where they went.
So are you saying the coolest part of your character is that they've been completely forgotten and turned into something better? Because that doesn't make you underrated. That just makes it bad.
But my argument for why they're the coolest, they're not the coolest character. My argument is that they're still relevant. And I think she is relevant because she was a symbol of the 90s. She had that cool, yellow punk jacket, and she had her sick 90s rad attitude. And she was the poster boy for that.
We're just really pulling the best of the 90s there with Jubilee. Let's bring that back.
Nostalgia is a big thing in these days, my friend.
I wanna argue. Two of you are arguing for characters that have been given many chances.
Yeah.
My character has been his own comic series has ended because he is so underappreciated.
What are you talking about? He's had 2 movies, and he's had 3 movies.
He had 3 movies.
You've had more movies than the rest of us, asshole.
I concur.
And the one had the kid from the drum movie.
Miles Teller.
And 2 of them
that
Miles
guy.
Teller. You had Miles Teller. Couldn't even make that a good role.
Well, to be fair, that movie wasn't supposed to be a Fantastic Four movie, but like, holy shit, that gave Fantastic Four the Nic Cage treatment.
Yes, it did.
I watched that on a plane, and I turned it off. I forced myself to go to sleep because I couldn't turn off my screen, and I couldn't watch that movie. It was so bad.
There's been one good Fantastic Four movie, and it's called The Incredibles.
Oh, is it the one from the 60s? Whoa, wait. Let's go back. You've had 4 movies. Let's not forget the Fantastic Four movie from, what was that, from the 80s?
Yo, there was one way back.
Or no,
it
it was
We don't count the
1994.
80s.
Why? That was the
It's
best
a
one.
confusing time.
You've had 4 live action movies to get it right, and it's never been done right.
If Matt gets to argue that his movies mean his character is still redeemable, you can't use my movies against me either. I'm just saying my character is so underappreciated. Marvel ended his series.
I think he's so irrelevant. Stretchy Smart Man didn't get his time in the center stage because they're like, well, what's his special power? Well, he's stretchy. Okay, well, what's his redeeming quality? Well, he's really, really smart. All right, so why don't we just get Kelsey Grammer in here as the Beast, because that's going to fulfill the second half, and it's way cooler on screen.
I like to think that the person doing the comic just fell asleep halfway through inking the last book, and that's why it ended, because they were so bored.
I would like to say that my favorite part of the Fantastic Four movies is when Reed Richards gets one arm stuck in one door and another arm stuck in another door, and all the brains in the world still render him completely useless stuck between 2
Wait,
things.
are you sure that's not from The Incredibles as well?
I'm pretty sure it's in both, actually.
I was gonna say, while we're shitting on the Fantastic Four movie, can we? This is a totally different conversation, but they did Doctor Doom dirty by having the surgeon from Nip Tuck play him. Like, that was unfortunate. That was bad.
That was pretty rough.
So you're saying a lot of things about movies. My character, Beta Ray Bill, has had one motion, I guess, appearance in a cinematic, I guess, effort. He was in a cartoon version of Planet Hulk, and it was badass. He was awesome. He crushed it. He went toe to toe with Hulk for a while, and like, so he walked out of this whole cinematic debacle unscathed. So I'll take that as net gain for Beta Ray Bill, protector and defender of the Corbinites.
Why is he called Beta?
Because there was Alpha Bill. It was the first cybernetic Corbinite created to defend their race, and he was like evil and bad.
So
and,
he's not
like,
even the best fake Thor?
No, they made the second
best
one
fake
better.
Thor? So what you're saying is we need a movie with 3 Thors to pull rank on Beta Ray Bill, on William Raymond Bill.
I'm just saying that he comes with none of the flaws of the first one and none of the weird like dad and family issues of Thor. He is like Thor 1. Like all of the full taste of Thor without any of the added baggage.
You're saying he's all of the good things about Thor with none of the things that make Thor interesting.
Dude, my guy's a defender of an entire race. He fought off Galactus by himself. That is interesting, like, in itself right there.
He sounds like preppy rich kid Thor for children without an idea of social problems. That sounds like Beta Ray Bill to me.
I will say they didn't go deep in on the family things to try and make that complicated, but aren't you tired of that? Aren't shitty family dynamics part of what unhinged the Fantastic Four movies?
No, because characters without backstory is how you end up with the Suicide Squad, and that shit was a goddamn disaster.
Don't you hook that cart to my horse. To my horse phased
To your cyborg horse.
He looks like fucking Baraka from Mortal Kombat.
I mean, listen.
He's so gross looking.
He's doing what he's doing. It's fine.
What is this? He's
awesome.
He's like a lizard man.
He's a cyborg, half horse, human thing.
What?
He's a half horse, half cyborg, 100% awesome.
He sounds like he comes from a Harlequin romance novel.
He's half man, half bear, and half pig. I'm super serial about this, guys.
What is this? This is crazy.
I'll tell you what he's not, is he's not a sparkly vampire, like, stuck perpetually in the 90s, trying to be relevant.
Yeah, but at least he doesn't look like a... Oh, God, he's a horrifying monstrosity.
Okay, well, now you're just being mean. I mean, Bill's not here to defend himself like that, so let's play nice.
Sorry, William Raymond Bill,
Yeah, maybe it's because he's a monster that he hasn't been in anything, Todd. Have you considered that?
Okay, well, I was just going to compliment some nice things about Reed Richards, but never mind. I forgot them, and they're gone, and they don't exist.
I don't think I need them.
The only good thing about Reed Richards is that he's not Nic Cage or a sparkly vampire.
Or a hideous monstrosity.
Okay, well, no, he could be. Like I said, Nic Cage. So...
Can we take a brief sidebar to remember that there was a time when the heroes of Marvel movies included that Fantastic Four and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man? Like, that was the best that Marvel had to offer.
Listen, the early 2000s were a scary time for everyone.
It was a different time. How about, I'll do you one better. I mean, until that point, we didn't even have Christian Bale Batman. We had
Clooney was the most recent Batman.
Yeah, we had Clooney and Kilmer Batman.
I'll have you know Val Kilmer is my favorite Batman. Thank you very much.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Actually, no, I like Michael Keaton.
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah. But Michael Keaton just is my favorite actor of all time.
Yeah. So I would like to point out that talking about Kyle's character has led us to talking about DC, which should show you just how lame Kyle's character really is.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I do get it. I get that Reed Richards is super smart, and I get that, like, he's, relevant in that capacity. But again, like, his superpower is to be stretchy. And even then, I'm positive if we dig back deep enough, it's gonna be, oh, I'm not stretchy enough, or I guarantee you, at some point in time, he probably got himself tied into a knot, and that was an issue. Like, the smartest man on earth again, like foiled again, like, and so I get that, like, I wouldn't say that he's underrated. I just think that there was no need to rate him. They're like, no, we got this. Like, he's calling to say, hey, do you need a smart guy in this next plot? And they're like, nah. No, we got it. We'll call you Reed Richards.
The Fantastic Four were the Marvel characters in the 70s and 80s. It's just
before better characters. Yeah, I
they
get
just
it.
didn't transfer. They didn't translate well into the edgy '90s, which Henderson should know all about. The edgy '90s.
Maybe he should have donned himself a couple pink shades or a sweet accent. It would have been.
I don't think
things would have changed for
anyone
old
should
Reed.
have donned pink shades and a cut off jean jacket. I think we can all.
It's jean
agree that
shorts, my dude.
Yeah, as much as it really pains me to agree with Todd, I think that where we're at here is we've got Kyle's rubber band, Andrew's schoolgirl crush, and then Todd and I's characters who are actually underrated. But see, here's my thing here.
Don't try to team up. Don't try.
No, I think you're right.
I'm not
Keep saying
I'm
nice
not trying to
things.
team up because I'm about
This
to
is
shit on
horse
Todd
shit.
too. No,
No, wait, stop.
No, horse shit is a great word for Todd's half horse, half man thing.
Going back to our Smash Brothers melee, this is you as Kirby just sucking people up and spitting them out on the end of the
You know
map.
what? And Kirby wins tournaments, bitches. Kirby wins tournaments.
God, you're the
No,
worst.
but see, here's the thing. While Todd and I might have picked the only underrated characters, there is hope for Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill has gotten an Easter egg in Thor Ragnarok. Not only that, he was written into the script of Thor Ragnarok and was cut out in the director's cut because he didn't have enough screen time.
Was it a picture of one of the street sharks from the 90s cartoons? Picture of street sharks? Because he looks like a street shark.
What I'm trying to say here is that Beta Ray Bill is probably going to get into the MCU here by Phase 3. We're probably going to see something from him. And you know what? They tried to put Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Robbie Reyes was pretty cool, and they cut him out of the whole middle of the season. So he's still being shit on by not being given his full due, being cut out of everything after episode 4 and until the last episode of the season. And that is a goddamn problem.
I mean, maybe if he didn't cost $500,000 every time he showed up on screen, they could have kept him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But your character's only cool when he's powering up, and that just costs way too much money.
Well, so no, let's talk about that. So we were offline, we were talking about like where people put their budgets. They valued Ghost Rider so much that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was blowing their load of what's their really cool cinematic thing we can do this episode for his transformations. Like, they valued what was going on in the character enough to say, you know what, like, we're gonna try our hardest. And so to use the analogy that was used on Matt for sucking people up as Kirby and spitting them out, I'm about to Donkey Kong grab and throw you off the edge, because there's no saving Ghost Rider. There's no saving the literal one-trick pony that is flaming fire demon and means of transportation relevant to their character backstory or time. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Based on what you're saying, the coolest thing about him is that he transforms into a skull. Like, okay, that is cool, but we're not, like, that has nothing to do with his character, his power, like, anything about him. It's just like, yeah, he's a cool skull man. Anyway.
Whereas you've got that where Beta Ray Bill, his face is practically already a horse skull, so I don't even need that.
Exactly.
Like, he's already winning as far as I'm concerned.
He is a walking horseman of the apocalypse.
Todd, you're hitching your post to this though, but Beta Ray Bill everything you've told us, he's just a less pleasant to look at version of Thor. Like, going into a fight, we can have the ugly horse cyborg or the agreeable, might be able to talk to somebody Thor. Going by what you said, they both do roughly the same thing. Let's go with the one that looks like a normal human being.
In the timeline, I mean, we've had Thor become Thor the Unworthy. Like, he's not even, like, true Thor at a certain point in time. He loses Mjolnir. I mean, that just happens. So, I mean, I'll go on the less aesthetically pleasing Beta Ray Bill with his powers, being worthy, trying to protect his people, working with the Asgards, and just not getting the limelight that, like, Golden Locks Chris Hemsworth gets. I get it. Like, yeah, I'm on board with Matt. I think he's going to show up in the MCU at a certain point in time. And if this is a first past the post situation, he's going to be the one there. And maybe Reed Richards gets in just because of New Deal struck, but I don't even know about that one. I don't know if you can save that garbage fire. I'll tell you, Jubilee, distant fourth.
Yep.
Listen, I'm still maybe she wouldn't be the best MCU character, but I'm still feeling that third-person action game where you run around as a you run around from mall to mall as Jubilee, blowing heads off their axes.
Is this mall madness or like a good 4-player like over the top co-op?
Yeah, this sounds like Left 4 Dead with Marvel.
I'm thinking like a Dead Rising like kind of clone where instead of zombies, it's just innocuous Christmas shoppers, and you just go and.
See, this sounds like a game I'd be disappointed to have spent $60 on. So.
The DLC lets you use the vampire powers because they know the original.
I was going to say
so
Act
poorly.
2. Act 2 is when you fight the canonical vampire terrorists.
Act 3 is where you play as Gambit and they apologize to you.
Yeah, and then you realize that this was the character the whole time. It's like the John. James Marsden switch in Red Dead Redemption.
Wow, spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, it's been out for 10 years.
Came out a decade ago.
All right, guys. We have any closing thoughts? Any last minute punches you want to get in before we tie this up?
I've said my piece. Let's take it home.
I just want to say, Mr. Fantastic lives up to his name. His only crime is he did not transition well into the 90s. And I think, especially with all the praise we give people like Elon Musk in the world today, Mr. Fantastic definitely deserves a spot at the top of the Marvel canon.
I'll give one more shout out to my girl. Listen, she's not going to be leading any X-Men movies anytime soon, but I still think she's a great inclusion to the group. I think that she's got way more to offer than most of the mutants they featured in those movies. I'm thinking about Angel. I'm thinking about whoever that weird kind of like sea urchin guy was who just like hugged people to death in The Last Stand. I really didn't like The Last Stand. She's always going to be one of my personal favorites because of the cartoon, and I think those pink shades are tight. So what are you gonna do?
I'll give one more for my Spirit of Vengeance, powered by Hellfire, who was unseated by one unforgivably bad movie in 2011 that has destroyed his reputation. Again, not necessarily at fault of Nic Cage, but at fault very much by the movies. He is an incredible character in all of his incarnations, and while Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. may have blown a lot of budget on making his head light up, he is way cooler than a flaming skull on a flaming motorcycle. He's just a badass superhero.
So I'm going to make sure to take it home. Beta Ray Bill is hands down the most undervalued character of the Marvel Universe. He's handed Thor his ass multiple times. He threw Hulk around a bit. He held off Galactus. He helped stop Ragnarok, which I might add is a clone that Reed, I'm a bad father, Richards, and Tony, my issues with alcoholism are too real, Stark, and Hank, king of tragic plot points, Pym, created by the way, and even led the Asgardians with Sif while Thor was moping around with his dad dying because he's got issues. Because he's a whiny baby prince. To have these notches under your belt and then be reduced to an Easter egg teases in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a crime. And I think that is truly the ultimate underrepresentation. Having said all those really nice things about Beta Ray Bill, much like last week, I think it'd be a great idea to say something nice about other people. I will say, I think that Mr. Fantastic, it's truly a crime what they have done to him. That he is probably one of the most iconic Marvel characters of all time, and it's a shame that he's been just destroyed via shitty movies and contract disagreements. For Ghost Rider, obviously, I think that's a huge iconic character, and I think that he is made to be like a Netflix series that would be amazing. And for Jubilee, there's no redeeming her. I really liked Jubilee in the X-Men TV show that I grew up on. I thought that she was a really fun character, and like it's a shame that she just kind of got like washed away amongst a sea of other X-Men characters that just happen to be more interesting or obscure.
Thanks, Todd. So I will say Mr. Fantastic is pretty dope in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. He's actually really fun to play. Because he does that weird thing where he like slams down on the ground, and it's a good crowd control move. Ghost Rider. I just don't know a lot about Ghost Rider. He seems cool. I've never seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it seems pretty neat. I really like National Treasure. So, Beta Ray Bill is equally horrifying and awesome looking. Because I'm kind of, the more that I look at this picture, I'm kind of into it. Like, I like the idea of like Thor had sex with a street shark and then it became this guy. I kind of feel like that would be like a sweet, like straight to DVD release. So yeah.
So I'll be the first to say that I think Dazzler is that her name? No, Jubilee. Dazzler's a completely different X-Man. Wow.
Which is how we start off compliments about Jubilee.
Yeah.
Jubilee, like many of the X-Men, is very she's very limited by her gimmick. A lot of the X-Men had gimmicks, and Jubilee has been held back for years by hers because her gimmick is that she's the early 90s one. Ghost Rider is one of my favorite Marvel characters as well, and it's a real shame that he has not had a good faithful major screen adaptation, but what they did with him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. gives me a lot of hope for where he's at. And I'm not convinced Beta Ray Bill is a real character. Sorry, Todd.
I'm pretty sure he just came from DeviantArt.
That's what Todd's trying to get us to look at his DeviantArt page.
Listen, guys, I'm gonna put together a coffee table book, and it's gonna be really good.
I would read that.
Todd's sharing his bad fan fiction with us
Yeah.
and trying to pass it off as this amazing character.
Todd the Hedgehog, a 2017 collective.
I guess that makes it my turn to be nice. I was very, very close to picking Beta Ray Bill for this debate, so shout out to you, Todd, for taking my sloppy seconds. I do think he's a badass character. I would absolutely love to see him in the MCU. I would especially love to see him kick Thor's ass because Beta Ray Bill is a wild powerhouse of a superhero. Henderson, I was too young to really be into the 90s X-Men cartoons. Sorry to date all you guys, but I do love the offshoot X-Men, and I would love to see more of them. And from what I know about Jubilee, is a cool character, and with Marvel's Runaway on Hulu finally deciding to feature Squirrel Girl, maybe that's where Jubilee will find her home, because I think that she does fit in with the new wave of young Marvel superheroes. And I'm not going to lie, I've never thought that Mr. Fantastic was anything more than a shiny rubber band, so that's all I've got there.
He does have some very fancy salt and pepper hair.
Well, guys, I think that about wraps it up for today. This has been another rousing episode of Know You're Wrong, because the show that goes out of its way not to prove that anybody is right, but just to prove that everyone else is wrong. Thanks, and if there's one thing I think we can take away from this, it's that Mr. Fantastic is just a rubber band. We'll see you next time.
Piece of garbage.
That's going to do it for our inaugural episode of Debate This. But please keep the debate going. Tell us what you think. You can find us on Facebook at Debate This and on Twitter at the Debate This Cast. Thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you next time.